What's going on YouTube? Alan here with DustyHikers.com with another shoe review. Today I'm going to be talking about the Merrell MQM Flex 2, which is an amazing shoe, and I'm super excited to talk to you about it. Okay, so this shoe, I didn't know anything about this shoe. I'm going to Italy, and so I spent like $700 on 5 pairs of hiking shoes. Normally I hike in boots, but it's going to be hot in Italy, and it's also hot here in South Texas. And my Danner Mountain 600s have actually worn out finally after 2 years of hiking all over the world. So I needed a replacement, and I needed something that's going to be effective for me in Italy. And so I tested all of those. You can go check out that video. I'll link it here to see which one and how they performed. So the Merrell MQM Flex 2 is actually the one that won my review. It's the one that I liked the most out of all 5 of those. I took these out of the box a month ago, so I've spent 20 miles. I've walked 20 miles in these shoes in the last month. So I've spent quite a bit of time with these shoes. The first time I took these out of the box, I walked 6 miles here around my house. It was about 95 degrees or 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and I had 0 issues. In fact, I just felt so good in these shoes. I didn't know anything about Merrell. I've never bought any Merrell footwear, and I just absolutely fell in love with these shoes. All right, so for the uppers are quite padded. One of the things that I really like about this shoe is that it doesn't have that, so it's a hiking shoe, but it doesn't have that super athletic running shoe DNA in it, right? I think that Merrell struck a really good balance between trying to give you a platform for hiking that's a low, right? It's a shoe, it's not a boot, that's got support beneath and that's really comfortable. Because some of the other shoes that I looked at, that I reviewed, they don't have as much padding up here around the top of the foot, and so you kind of have this minimalist, more running shoe style design, and you just, they're just not as comfortable. These shoes are so comfortable straight out of the box. This upper is a mesh upper. It's probably pretty fragile. I've seen some other reviews on like the internet or on YouTube, and people say that this doesn't hold up very well. It does have this coating. I think this is a thermoplastic urethane coating. It almost looks like it's painted on the mesh, and it's supposed to provide some protection. But I could imagine, I've been on trails and on the street walking in these, so I haven't been like off-road bushwhacking, but I could imagine that this would not hold up to a lot of punishment for the upper. But I think for me, for what I need for these shoes, just day hiking and going on some of my favorite hikes where we used to live in Italy this summer, this shoe is going to be perfect. All right, so the midsole. I think the midsoles are fine. They're not going to blow you away. They're not super squishy. One of the other shoes that I reviewed was the Danner Trail 2650 Campo, which is a super awesome shoe. I ultimately decided to take these instead of the Danners because these just fit my foot a lot better. But I think it's adequate, the midsole. It does, like I said, provide a lot of support and is very comfortable. So, like I said, the first time I walked in these shoes, I walked 6 miles and had 0 issues. And I think for most people, that's going to be the case. The way they designed it, it's a shoe that's going to fit a lot of feet. So like I was saying before, it doesn't have that super high performance Formula One running shoe pedigree to it. It's a cross between a hiking boot and a running shoe. Like if you could find that middle point, I think that that's what they did with this. All right, finally the outsole. The outsole is, it's called Quantum Grip by Merrell. It's good. I think it's adequate. It's very flex. It flexes a lot. The rubber lugs here, they're very soft, and it provides a lot of grip. I tested these for grip against the 4 other shoes that I reviewed, and these performed almost as well as the Vibram Mega Grip that are on the Danner 2650. So it's going to provide you a lot of grippiness on trail, especially if you have to go over rocks, wet rocks, that sort of thing. You're going to feel very secure in these shoes. I do think that they're, so Moving from a boot to a trail shoe like this, boots are going to have really hard, they're going to tend to have a really hard rubber compound for the sole. And then moving towards the other end of the spectrum, like these, they opt for this much softer rubber compound. So it provides a lot of performance up front, but the shoes aren't going to last that long. I don't expect, if I wore these for a year, that I would expect I'd have to throw them away, just because the outsole has worn down. I saw some reviews on the internet that said that these lugs actually fell off. Some of them fell off when they were testing on rocky terrain, I think in Washington State. And I could see how that could happen. But straight out of the box, they're going to be super comfortable, super grippy, and provide a lot of performance. And they're not super expensive. They're less than $150. Okay, if you're finding this review interesting or useful, please hit the subscribe button, or at least hit the like button. I've also linked this shoe in the description, so you could support my channel by going and clicking on that link. If you're interested in buying this shoe, click on that link to go purchase the shoe. It doesn't cost you any money, and I can get a few dollars from the purchase, hopefully. Okay, protection on trail. When you move from a boot like I did to a hiking shoe like this, you're going to have less protection. So one of the ways that manufacturers are dealing with this is that they have a plate underneath here. And in fact, this one does. There's this hard plastic plate which is between the outsole and the midsole. And I think that this is pretty good. And I tested this against the other shoes. Danner has a trail guard system, which is just like this, and it's really hard, really rigid. So when you step on a rock, the shoe's not going to flex at all. It's like you're on a hard plate, and so the shoe's kind of teetering on top of that rock. Whereas a boot, the shoe sole is going to kind of deform and absorb that rock, and so you'll still have some purchase on the trail, right? You're not going to be just teetering and perhaps rolling your ankle. This is not as rigid as the Danner Trail 2650 Campo trail guard system that they have, but it's still adequate. I tested these for foot protection on the sole against 4 other shoes, and they didn't perform the best, but I think that they're adequate. Okay, final thoughts. Fit. This is a shoe that's going to fit a lot of feet. I have a normal size 12. I don't ever buy wide shoes, and these shoes fit perfectly. Break-in time. There is virtually no break-in time. This is a shoe, I don't suggest this, but this is a shoe that you could purchase and then go on your first hiking trip in these shoes and not have a problem. So I think the best use for these shoes is going to be day hiking or light backpacking. If you have a heavy backpack, or if you're on some really rocky ground, I would suggest going with something that's more like a boot. Even if you want something like a low hiker, I suggest going with something that's got just more material and stiffer sole underneath your foot in those cases. But for what I want to do in Italy, which is just go on some fun little day hikes, these shoes are going to work great, and they're super comfortable. All right, so the Merrell MQM Flex 2, moving quickly through mountains, is what MQM stands for. These are high quality shoes, and if you're looking for a great hiker that's not Gore-Tex, that you're going to be able to put a lot of miles on and enjoy, then I suggest these shoes. I love these shoes. These are the shoes that I'm going to wear all summer hiking. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.